Tene tatambo ngaro dele hyujutan tene te jisla jirdo tambechu sembe kapso tene kalon number tapa sonchunju de senji ne tene sonchunju de senji pate saltaro chi hyujutan tene te jisla dojin chongtum sonden dembe kasala zawe lama ton jipe lama ton jila teba ton muguji ni solwata naru chi hyuye.
First of all, good morning to everyone. And then the second thing is that when we listen to Dharma teachings, it is especially important to have the motivation, the pure motivation of bodhicitta. So please strengthen your motivation of bodhicitta. And then we will recite the Vajra Lineage prayer. And as we recite this Vajra Lineage prayer, please have great faith and devotion in the root and lineage lamas.
Tene ta kasenga kapso la tene ngo jewa me pa kala tene ranking linji tupa tene ta tanda sundu ranking me pa linji tupa sundu te ta tene ta te ji so yije dong ta jepa ta tende song re la ta teringa kapndar ta tanda ta zopa chimbu tawe gomba la rikpa tang tomba sunju ge gomba chumi to topuchol te tembarel ta rikpa se na salve gi cha salwa hipa te yang te sem te kaba do kante do hakwa chom kare teng do hakwa chom ma imba sem te ge ngo te ta kante imba te saltong song dun ju perang kin chetawa ge imba te top tap te sungwa re la tini tela ya ta kamdar ngus sachi yo mare te ina ya sachi ga on de sena te che kolsar da bu jepa ta tini ngus top ge cholte namba ni yo re samba da bu tindola te na ne tangbo ta kolsar da bu te jepa te tini tanda te zita ngaranso gom jab kawla norsandrabo ta kolsandrabo yore te yinji minji salgu gre song yore la tini ta te yang tata rangre to dinga hi gom hin zenji hi yela rewe yeme memen je ngo yitrup ati gonden yimbar lam chong se ta rangre ye se ta ngaranso shazu ge mengo gomking ge to ding tokpa tang tempa se tu chitang dry on de sena tene tokpa tang tempa se tu nyom nyom chepra chen la gongwa re de yena ya tanda ti ge to ding se tu tende je la ko ge yo ma re to ding ma yin pa la yin song kin ta tende tombo rang la topa hira me pa la ngarang topa ya po yo som ne ngembe nga jal jin da bo che la kornin do korju gi nyen kan do so re la tini ta ti to din tenzu ge nga hi ki tini to pa tong temba nyam nyong tong temba kanga la yung gi yo ma re te ka hi ze la jan de yung gi yo re tini te yang ngaran cho la yang ka nang do ko ne ti jan de endu ta tini jan de do na ngwe sai tini ti jan de pong tini jan de me na pe ya bo re la tini gawa gam tini ngarang ge tingen zen gam ju te kal che wa re la teacher na to din ten zo ge kare te ge do se na gam se du chai to do je gam ju ya ban da bo che la song ge yo re te som na ting de je yung ge yo ma re tenzu ge kare teng ge yo re se na ye ba yung ma yin ba me ba yung ma yin ba ye min me min je ngo ye trop se du ta na che ye ba yung ma yin ba me ba yung ma yin ba ji yo re so ne nzamba te nzai ne ta te tini zopa chimbo ati yo ge gong den yin ba re song ge yo re te te chin ma re so yin sa.
So yesterday we talked about the recognizing the primordial purity. We talked about the spontaneous, the natural spontaneous presence, and we also talked about the conduct of those who have not yet really examined this. And so today we have come to here in this discussion of the view of the Song of Mahamudra, the fifth topic on page 16. Page 16, after entering the view, how to realize the unmistaken meaning of the union of awareness and emptiness. So it's on page 16, halfway through. And here, when we talk about awareness, what awareness just means the clear awareness, the mere clear awareness, the clarity of knowing. And so that is not, it's not just a question of knowing where the mind is, what it's like. It's not a question of just sort of understanding that. It's actually looking at the essence of the mind and seeing it as it is, seeing the union of clarity and emptiness as it naturally is, and realizing that. And so here in this topic here, Khenpo Gangshar just gave one topic here, but actually if you look at it, they're kind of two different topics in terms of the outline. Under this, you could say that there's an A and a B, and the A would be how it is, the pitfalls and mistakes we can make, and then the second topic would be how we can actually realize this. And so the first of these is the pitfalls and mistakes that we can make. So when we are meditating, there's a possibility that there are things that we can get wrong. There are pitfalls that we can fall in, ways that we can stray. And so if we have any of these mistakes, or if we've strayed in any way, we need to eliminate those. And so this begins with it saying, at the present, some of our realized beings have the hope. There is something to fixate on in so-called meditation. Though they may proclaim that the meaning of ati is an essence, that is neither something nor nothing and can be established. And so here, when we say some of our realized beings, our here means all of us who practice the instructions on Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And then it says realized beings. Now, when we say realized beings, generally what this literally means is those beings who have real experience and wonderful experience. But that is not what we really mean here. What we actually mean here, it's like those people who think they have the realization, but maybe they don't actually have that experience. You know, they think, okay, I've really realized this, when actually they haven't realized anything at all. They have this real sort of arrogance, or this sort of pride of thinking of it. And so there's this danger that can happen if this happens. And so it's some of our realized beings. So it's some. It's not everyone, but it's some of us. And so here we need to really look carefully. We need to turn our attention inwards. We need to look at ourselves. And we need to say, honestly, is this a problem that I have? Is this a mistake I've made? Is this a pitfall that I have fallen into? And if it is, we need to eliminate. If it's not, great, that's fine. But it's important for us to really meditate upon, do samadhi meditation. And so at the present, some of our realized beings have the hope there is something to fixate on in so-called meditation. So when we say meditation, it's like there's something that we actually meditate on. And there's this idea that there's something that's there. It's not really something, we think. It's not really nothing. It's neither of these, but there's something there to meditate upon. It's neither something nor nothing and can be established. It's really there. It's not something or nothing, but there's something really there. And we think this is the Ati Yoga. But if we think like that, that's really not okay.
Tene tatela long yore de inaya tayi rangsang je zoba chimbo rangsang je sinkin te te mada ba yimba tayi rangsang je zoba chimbo tayi de yeba tong meba tong nika ma yimben tayi de rangin ji sangwa 당부 요 레송 그거 말에 요 말에송 그거 말에 코랑가 센제 내루가 ngola tepa 좀지 드는 타이게데 랑hin기 상황 랑hin기 ял로 랑hin기 마두바 드니 대답이 좁아침보지 요래 마도 풍som 추습지 얘기 만두시 드니 양나 예바 양나 매바 양나 니가야바 양나 니가마인바 다디 풍보숨바 풍선바 속토바 드니 제 도돈라고 제 덴버트바 제 요즘아래 얘기 만두 요마래 티처나 나랑소 검네 냠뇽 제외 값슬라 간디 강고 그래세나 드니 투들 손털때 하고고 요래 투바통 달와세도 예바통 메발라소 투바통 달와 예바요 마인바 메바요 마인바 투바통 달와 상탈때 다드니 랑hin기 ngo마도 돈이 넘발라 딘디 냉거제 희구게 요래 니마 디 냉거데 하고고 요래 마도 디 냉거데 마픽세나 마히바 마픽나 마히나 네 gom de 진주로 참이 닌다 공기 나 조바 침보 공기 나 차자 침보 공기 시탄 데르베나 송요아레라 카나나다 루주주세 데나 데점게 펜토 요마레 디검데 진주로 참이 데 데니 단다 데라 tene Jinjurwa Chayo Mare, Tati Karirindu, Hakogyo Mare, Teti Gom Yapuji Ringyoba, Gom Yapuji Regmepa, Tatinde Chamepa, Tende, Jinjur Chame.
So this is what some people, they think they have the sort of inflated thought that that's how it is. So what we need is to meditate on Dzogchen. In Dzogchen, where the four extremes are naturally purified, and so here in Dzogchen, this is if you have the Tibetan edition, it says Rang Sang Gye. It should actually just be Rang Sang, so it's naturally purified. It's so when we look at the nature of Dzogchen, it's like it's not something, it's not nothing, it's not both, it's not neither. It's just when we look at the nature of this, these four extremes are naturally purified. They're naturally not established as anything. They can't be anything, and so that is the way that Dzogchen really is. It's not. There's no third alternative. There's no language establishing a third alternative. So a third alternative is saying, well, okay, it's not something or it's not nothing, but it must be either both something or nothing, or either neither, or maybe neither something, not something nor nothing. So those would be a third alternative. But there's no language establishing this, and so there's nothing like this at all in the Dzogchen. And so when we meditate, when we actually have the experience of meditation, well, how is it that we meditate? Well, we meditate in wide open simplicity. So wide open simplicity means that we're free of all the complications of thinking that it's something or it exists, or that it's nothing or that it doesn't exist, or that it both exists and doesn't exist, or that it's neither exists nor it doesn't exist. And then it's this wide open. So wide open means that the essence can't be established as anything. It is emptiness. And so if we need to penetrate to this point. So penetrate to the point means that we need to know this. So by saying not penetrate, it's saying that if we don't know this, then it's uncertain that this is it or what will happen in our meditation. And so so it's a question of if we think, oh, I'm meditating now. I'm meditating on Dzogchen. I'm doing Mahamudra. We think this. But actually, as it says in the commentary, if you just sit there with your jaw slack and sitting in the meditation posture, it's really unclear what is going to happen. Is this really meditation? Or is this not meditation? Who knows what's going to happen to you? It's uncertain what's going to happen. So who knows what's going to happen in this meditation? There's just it's completely uncertain.
Tene tatelaya perna chuje sacha pentata tanda kajibe soja chimbo gomkin sola damwa nanse na yanda gakwa nanse na yanda ta tende somyo warela lumbu soja che gombe pashir tundu jorjor yana zumi kanse che yona nyente ngo partang se tene ta tende somyo warela lumbu tenzuge tene senji nelu chetawa yindo mato ne soja chimbo gomna tene chechena gomde yabu injire de chechena yabu maine tunrol chekere perna tunronda boje yena domda boje yena ganga ko sabu nana ni de tene yana tete soja chawa gomde domda ora tene ngaranso tanda Colorado la yorva shiwa shiwa sekite ko gankar sabu nana ni de tenda bode sekre somare yana zumi khanse se yana zumi khanse dogre yana nyentu go portang se ta tende chaje chembo gamma hina norware tende norware yungre tende song yore la te yendo tanda tene ngara gom de miti yapo te keten gongure ma to tene taga se norna tene teji nyenga yore jinjur chame se yapojiri me wa hakog mendo so.
This is similar to what the Sankhya Pandita was saying when he gave some, what you could say was maybe advice about Mahamudra, or you could say that it was a refutation of Mahamudra. But whichever you say it is, what he said is that when foolish people meditate on Mahamudra, it's uncertain whether they are going to be reborn as animals or reborn in the formless realms or attain the cessation of the listeners. And so when you do the meditation, if you do the Mahamudra meditation without actually realizing the nature as it is, then maybe it's going to be okay, but maybe not. Maybe you're going to end up being like an animal. It's like, a gopher. You might end up just like you're in hibernation all winter, in a burrow underground someplace. It's like here in Colorado, you have what is it, groundhogs or is it gophers? Groundhogs. I'm sorry, I'm not from the area. I can tell. You can tell, I'm sure. At any rate, you have these groundhogs here, and what do all winter? They hide in the burrows all the time, and they just sleep all the time. And so maybe they're sleeping. Maybe they're doing Mahamudra meditation. Maybe we can't tell the difference. So we just can't tell, Or maybe you'll be sitting there like the gopher, and maybe it'll just end you up making you reborn in the formless realm, or maybe you'll just attain the cessation of the Shravakas. And so if you don't really know what the Mahamudra is and you try to meditate upon it, then you might lose it and you might forget it. And so there's the danger that this is going to happen. And so that is what the Sakya Pandita says. And so in the same way, when we do our meditation, we have to really pay attention properly in our meditation. We have to have the right focus in our meditation. If we don't, then we're just going to be making mistakes, and who knows what's going to happen to us. There's the danger that anything can happen. So in that way, it is uncertain what will happen in the meditation.
Ye na ye jute tetra gomme ye pe ye sulte nomya mantong se ta ye patang me patang nika yimbati namba som yorela tangbo ye pati yinna ta ngaran so senji nelu singite do dempar trupa ye pati yinna ti ye pati rang gong gujre re te yinna ya sen khorang ngola ta na yepe yechulte nomya mantang ye na tinisen kantindo tela yepji nambalanduge khadu nambalanduge kantindo yapo je tena tekar jembar tase ta tekar jembar tawate ta tanda jibo gone tawa maimba ngonsamdo tawa ta tela palcher tanda ngaranso ta tela ya te Chiu la lobjong chinkin rabota, mbo la lobjong chinkin tenzuke, teni tege ripi ki jis popa maimba, chiu da mbo korang kala kande sake do, mbo korang chiu da mbo tenzu nisa kana nige do, purndo du kande simpurga do, ta yapo tani jangwa, te jendo ngarang sem tenya kaba droga do, korang ngo kande do, ta perna chiu la lobjong chinkin te, chiu ti kado kande do, yep kande do, yapo tawa nagi ngarang senji nelu ten senji ten kandindo yep kandindo kadu kandindo yep yona yolu kandindo mena melu kandindo tadu tela ta yepa ji yina yepa te gong gujre de yina ya yepa dodo raboje yep ta kadu namba tane thong yo mare la yep yechul te no yo mantong se ta tina jawa tene kama ba sumba ranjung do ji ke chachen melon yepa mai jalwi chong ma zi songate tandna songare dende la songare me na me pa hi chuji gomme me pe khasan na no yo ma che si ta yana me parel me pa ina me pa ke me pa khoran ina tsani me pa ji ina ka ko me para gom ji rete ina ya nguni ke me pa re sin no yo khasan che yo mare tho che yo mare nguni semte ta semte yeba maina me pa yin ko gre me pa hindu semte tsani me pa re sin tho ta mendu wa sin ki tsani tho che ga mare semte yore teacher na kama parang ju doji tene sona tanda mepa mai kondi kanji gen ko wa nyangin de pa tong ji ge yel ro yore so
So then it continues. If there's something, meditate on that something as it is, but the way that something exists has never ever been seen. And so here we have three things that are talked about: it being the mind being something, it being nothing, or it being both something and nothing. So first we say we have the thought that the mind is something. So if the nature of the mind were something, some solid thing, some truly existent, really there, solid thing. So if there's something, meditate on that something as it is. If there is something there, then we should meditate on that something, because that's what there is. But when we look at the nature of the mind, we don't see any something there. If there were something there, what is it like? How is it? What is its color? What is its shape? And we look at it directly, and we look at it nakedly. So when we say we look directly and nakedly at the nature of the mind, this means that we don't look through reasoning and inference, but we look directly at the nature of the mind. And so the way that we look at the nature of the mind is very similar to the way that ornithologists and entomologists look at birds and bugs. And so they don't use logic and reasoning here. They just sit and look. Oh, what color is the bird? What shape is the bird? What shape is the bug? When the bird or the bug eats food, how does it eat its food? Where does it go to sleep? How does it go to sleep? How does it fly away? And they sit there and they look at the bug. And so in the same way, we look at the nature of the mind. And so where is the mind? We look to see, what's the mind like? How is it? Does it have a shape or a color? Like when the ornithologist is looking at the birdies, they see, okay, the bird's color is this color, its shape is like that, and they look to see what the color and shape is. So in the same way, we look at the mind and say, well, what sort of color does it have? What sort of shape does it have? If it has a color, how does it have a color? If it doesn't have a color, how does it not have a color? If it has a shape, what is the shape? How does it have a shape? If it has no shape, how does it not have a shape? And so if there were something actually there to meditate on, we should meditate upon that. But when we look, we can't find anything there. We don't see anything there. It's as the third Karmapa, Rangjung Dorje, said in his aspiration of Mahamudra, not something, even the Buddhas cannot see it, or even the victors cannot see it. So when we look at the nature of the mind, there is nothing there that we can find, nothing that is present that we can find. Well then, okay, if it's not something, then is it nothing? If there's nothing, meditate unilaterally on that nothing, but its nothingness has never been completely resolved. And so generally we think if it's not something, it's got to be nothing. But if we look at the nothing, then how is it? We can't actually unilaterally decide that the nothingness is actually like. So when we look to see, is it actually nothing, the mind? It's not. There's something going on there. The mind is there. So it's not that it's just complete nothingness at all. When you look to see, is the mind something? We can't find anything. But then when we look to see, is the mind really nothing? It's like, well, there's something there. And so as the third Karmapa, Rangjung Dorje, said, it's not nothing. It's the basis of samsara and nirvana.
Tene ta tela ya ta tende indu tela yepayon mai yepayon yimba mepayon yimba je re nika yimba je resona yemi nika ne yimbe yeshu semi hila ne nonyon mene tene yepaton mepa nika yimba je resona tende ke tseni jinje semge hila zawani yo mare yepayon yimba mepayon yimba je zawani yo mare teacher na tatanda detabu yo marela ta teacher na yepayon mahimba mepayon mahimba nika mahimba ji resona yemi nika le kalbe hiza pungsom denrup ji nomyo mami setini yepaton mepa nika mahimbe ta dodo je tini pungsom pa je denrup ji nomyo tini sukayon tonya yo mare nomyo mami se teacher na tatanda Khenchen Rangjung Dorje ki sona ngand mai sunju umlam tadal senji chuni toparkho sonare la ta teacher na ta tanda ti chiji ki tanda del kama pasumba Rangjung Dorje ki yepa mai jarwe choma se Meba Main Kondi Kanji, Ganda Main Sunju Omangam, Tadar Senji Chuni Toperho, Sesuma Jeda. Tatedan Tumba, Zopa Chimbuga on the Senakin Jimmy Limbaga, Yepa Main Delhi Jomazi, Meba Main Kondi Kanji, Ganda Main Jeji Yulinde, Dzogchen View Nelu Toperho, Setati, Saint Davon, Davo, Tenda Tiba, Tiba Sumarella, teacher Napusam Dendru Noyon Memeba. Teacher na semje nelu la yapo je tana yepata mepata nika main bentalin deba je kali nguzon ne teni yapo je togo ge yore te tombo tayin huma tenzo yemi yeminje ngo yidrup sinke tenzo norsa yepa ta tanda ye na ye je te tetra gamme sinke tenzo tanda norwa te chupi ge tap ndabo je da teni te norwa te chuni ta te uto gamme ge tap te so in sare
de 가서 the lonchemba Tsitela.
Jimmy Limbaga Tsitela, Ganda Mai Jeji Yolende, Dzogchen View Nelu Tobarho.
Dzogchen View
Nelu Tobarho.
So we think, okay, it's not something, it's not nothing. Okay, it's got to be both something and nothing at the same time, we think to ourselves. Well, we think that it's both. Well, it's not really. Contradictory phenomena that are both something and nothing are not ever present within the nature of mind essence. And so we think, okay, it's both something and nothing. But we can't find anything. It doesn't exist at all. It's never found at all. So we think, okay, so it's not both something and nothing, so it must be neither something nor nothing. But then it says, nobles that are distinct from something and nothing both, truly existent third alternatives are never observed. And so we think that, okay, if there's something that's not something and it's not something, not nothing, but it's the solid thing that truly exists, no one has ever observed it, so no one has ever seen such a thing. And so here, this is as Rangjung Dorje says, this is not a contradiction, it's the middle path of unity. May I realize the nature of mind, free of all extremes. And so this here, these 8 lines of this passage are really teaching the same thing as the third Karmapa Rangjung Dorje taught in this verse. Not something, even the victors cannot see it. Not nothing, it's the basis of samsara and nirvana. This is not a contradiction, it's the middle path of unity. May I realize the nature of mind, free from all extremes. And so then, very similar, and that fits along very nicely with this, the great Dzogchen master Longchenpa also gave a verse that reads, not something, even the victors cannot see it. Not nothing, it's the basis of samsara nirvana. This is not a contradiction, it transcends the describable. May I realize the basic nature of Dzogchen. And so this is what these 8 verses of this text are talking about. So the beginning of this section where it says, at the present, some of our realized beings, etc., the first 8 lines of this talk about the mistakes that we can make, the pitfalls and the mistakes we can make. Then from here, if there's something, meditate on that something as it is, but the way that, and so forth. The next 8 lines, these talk about how it is that we should meditate, what the meditation should actually meditate. And so then following this, the next section then talks about how it is that we need to fix or to improve our meditation.
Tene ta te jeso ta tanda te tan korsatang 출바텐서 제베게 탑텐서 수마래라 당연히 골사당 달네 또빠질라 집에게 절대 네 율남 율만이네 ndagam tegam jin zantong heine 다동 촌데지 ngaldu se te 바용 로데 ngond 네소세 다 디캅슬란데 yen 시는 문제야 요 말해라 근데 마인 세네 다때 봐 유야에 요 말해 되네 율 많이네 다때다부게 율기 Zani Mani is that Sanjinelu Latawa Capsule, the Yeparisene, Yepumupo Mani, the Meparisene, Mepala Topachi, Matupache, Tateta Vajay, Sedu Telatan, the Gong Gugando, the Gong Gugando keeping Zenton shaking somebody, shake, Zenton Pai shake me, Meparine, Yalndro. 다동 손대징 알도 세대 다동 다제 다국은도 희국은도 선배 깔리잡 마구바 바용 로데용도 내서 되니 sembaku 양보 다디게 생진네 루징오데 종네 되니 로데붕온도 네토바제 용기요래.
And so these are the methods that we use to free ourselves from the mistakes and the pitfalls. And then it talks about the what it's like when we are free of all of these pitfalls and mistakes. And as it reads, we never find an object that is this or is not this, and all methods to meditate on this or that are shattered. The weariness of wanting to look more has been exhausted, and we rest within the nature of spacious mental ease. And so we never find an object that is this, that we can say, oh, this is it, this is what it is. We can't identify anything like that. And then there's something that we say, it's not this, something that we need to get rid of, that we need to find. There's nothing that we can find. We cannot find any of this. We never find an object. So it's not like, okay, there's something, we can't find something. If we want something, we can't find it. But there's really nothing there. Or is it nothing? It's not that it's nothing and that we can't. That there's something something that we have to get rid of. It's not like that. It's all the methods to meditate on this or that are shattered. So they're shattered. They are destroyed. They're eliminated. They just naturally disappear and dissolve on their own. And so once that happens, the weariness of wanting to look more has been exhausted. And so the idea of wanting to make more effort and go to hardship and do something is no longer, there's none of that. That has all gone. And we rest within the nature of spacious mental ease, and so we just relax and rest and very loosely and relaxed within the spaciousness, we nurture the essence of the mind with a great mental ease, and we just rest within that as much as we can.
Tene ta te tabo payung lo de ngont ne ta te la nzanbandapo pa kanya mepa ta tende kanga ne du te la tene chiang mihibe mo bandapo ji yungrebe chiang medrimbe tomi ndabo ji lan rogrebe sina te mare kantin rogrebe sina ta na su judin je balap ngami tene namto genjwa thamo ndabo tene te yang gapa meba yore ye me te ta tanda kanga hako gre kanga hi gre kanga mihiba momba kukpanda bol chondo gre besena chogmare tene kanga chin gre tene senchi tongji la tsewa yung gre tsewa tong tembe nuba yung gre chinsi nusum ji yentin yung gre ye me te ta tin dendra ro tsup hi inse menonse Rara tsup se du pe chakpondabo. Tene ngaranchona mangi hedang ji jena hedang ka motba. Tene hedang ka on de hyondro yo yaba. Nongto mambo ji jena nongto mambo de ka motba. Nongto go on de hyondro ge yaba ndabo maimba. Rara tsup ji inse menon. Charam chuola hyoa chi jam chi imbar no ta pena tombo cha do de pe nembo masi tunkin tene pe chakwo tende yorete yina yon cha de rimbi ki hyosona cho lanjor cho din jambo tene mazog mare kangan jambo re ta la tipo yore la pe te yendo ta pena chagong che gna tujab to mare la cha de pa hyosona tene cho din jambo landroge yaba te yendo tene namto rapa tinzo la wang chimbonda bo top chimbonda bo maimba jam chi he imbar no ta ti nyonda bo ta tende chi yungi yore so.
So when we're resting within this nature, spacious mental ease, and there's nothing to cling to. Well, does this mean that we just become spacey and blank, that we just become completely nothing at all, that we aren't aware of anything at all? Is that what happens? It doesn't. As it says here, the waves of the various movements of thoughts are unceasing. So the various movements of thoughts, these are like the subtle thoughts that keep going. They never stop. They keep on going. They keep on going on. And so even though there's something there, it does not appear to be something so wild and rough as it might presently seem. And so even though there's something there, so we still know things, we still understand things, we still have that quality of knowing things. And so then because we have that quality of knowing things, we then feel affection and love for all sentient beings. And then out of that we develop the power. So we develop the qualities of wisdom, love, and power out of this. And so it does not appear to be something so wild and rough. So when we say something wild and rough, we mean something that is hard and difficult and hard. It's like with our anger. When we feel hatred at first, like we can't stop it. We are overpowered by our hatred. Or we have a lot of thoughts and we can't stop the thoughts, and the thoughts overpower us. We lose ourselves to them. But it's not like that. It's like an ice flow melting into a river. It appears to be something gentle and nice, so very gentle and nice. And so it's like at first it's like an ice flow, or it's like ice. Ice is something that's really hard. It's solid. It can cut you. It can it can injure you. But when it gradually then melts into water, then that ice becomes something very gentle. It can no longer cut you. It can no longer wound you in any way. It becomes soft and gentle. And so it's the same way with our thoughts. At first they seem to be really powerful and really strong, but actually then they become, when we see that in this way, they become something very gentle and very nice. So it's like when water is frozen into ice, then you can't take a bath in it in any way, right? You can't bathe yourself with ice. But when that ice then melts, then you can bathe yourself. It's very soft and gentle and nice. And so in the same way with the coarse thoughts, at first they seem so strong, we fall under their power. But then when we see through them, they sort of melt and they become very gentle and nice. And so it's like he's saying this out of his experience.
Tene ta te jesu ta tanda ta te jitang topa cheparchin riton sunju gomban trumi to topa tombon trusate tene te truba salve ke tapte tene trumi to topa gen tene nyom tembar ta tendense par la tene ta te jesu ta ti ke zopa chimbu lamte ta shaja chimbu lamte tene tunta yenda to tawa yenda to tumba to mentimbe sur temparela tene te ya tanda tendu te la tangaran so to goya de kandere sena tene to goya nguma te tanda sentinel ripingo te la tene te la sentinel ripingo te norbunda bojere norbote tati norbo do te la tanda na pe ga nang du te la kahi ge ta te karis te noburis nobula nobimba mahine kahi ge karis na te mare nobu mare sadodo jindo sin yache ge te mare te sadodo ya mare te chododo ji impanda sinkin rabu te ge sena te ne ta te sadodo yo mare chododo yo mare marmen rabu he jindo sinkin rabu ta te amare njai tombu jindo sinkin rabu ta tende susu ge tene nguzun ri che yo arete ina yo uni ge nobu imbate hi yo mare sin sung ge yo.
And so here, this section has been presenting the awareness, how to realize the union of awareness and emptiness. First, it taught the confusion and mistakes. Then it taught the methods for dispelling those, and then it taught what the experience of realization is like. And so following this comes an explanation of how this path of Dzogchen and Mahamudra is compatible or incompatible with other paths, other philosophical presentations and views. And so here, when we have to, what is it that we actually need to realize? What we actually need to realize is the mind nature. It is the essence of awareness as it is. And this essence of awareness is like a jewel. So this is the example that it is given, or the analogy that is given of it being like a jewel. But some people don't, when they look at this jewel, the jewel is a jewel, but they don't realize it for being what it is. And they think, oh, that's not really a jewel. That's a hunk of dirt. It's a clod of dirt. Then some people say, nah, that's no clod of dirt. That's a piece of iron. And then some people come along and they say, nah, that's no clod of dirt. That's not a piece of iron. That is the light of a lamp. And then some people come along and they say, no, it's not any of that. It's it's the fragments of a rainbow. And so each of them, they identify it in all their own particular ways, but they don't recognize it as being the jewel that it is. And so they don't realize the jewel for being what it is.
Tene ta tela ya ta cherdo tambo number sanji petawate jagala tarium capsula tunta number ye jongorela. Tunta number yivote ya jantan chepa revisena jantan chepa mare. Tene sanji jomdin deji tambo chujin kolo kor. Ta di capsula tambo ta tangwetan sedu ya tambo mekanga chula zai. Chula zai ne tene rimji sapa. Tele sapa ki chu de naung de tela. Tombo kan kolo tangbo de korwa. Chujin kolo tangbo de korwa rela. Chujin kolo tangbo de demba ye nelu de songare. Demba ye nelu de sundu tela. Tene ta te demba ye nelu de sundu tela. Chutangji toni ga namba na wo demba ma impa. 다 공사가 더 매바 당하란수 더 매바 대 템바리 공사가 더 매바 땡그비 준신데 칸디리세나 지당가 당하란수 둥할 때 빵고기 요아래라 아드네 생긴 탐지 둥할레 타르고기 요아래 둥할레 타르와르시비게 탑라 당아 둥할게 메세나 빵토기 요마래라 다오나 가리 빵고기 요아래세나 둥할게 죠 근중그 템바 녀몬바티 빵고기 요아래 Nyemombaté pangugi yorede. Nyemombaté ngan desha chege me, ngan hedang chege me sine katuna kana katugri sine katugi yomare. Tene nyemombaté zo pantugi yomare la. Ina ya nyemomba pangugi tapji yore sine tapji yore. Kariri sine nyemombatamchi ge zawati dancing ridi. Dancing te ngan nyamdota. Nye nyomdan zambatel pe Khenpo Gangshar tene tene desha che hedang che ngajal che thodo che ta tende yungi yorela tene ta tela tene nga nyomdan zambat nga nyomdan zambatiya ta nga somge me nga nyomdan somba nga yer nyomdan somge me somne tene pang na pang tu grevesi na pang tu yomarete te pang ko kap che yore 대방의 고갑 예바데 칸데르시는 나 뇽도 som바동 네 롱제 네 세노르 네 닌자루 som베게 네 som베게 미율데 라 도도 코란 운이 촉토바진도 따따갑설 요마레 코란 출바레 나 메팔 나른사이 나이르 메팔 나이르는 생게 요아레라 드니 나 메팔 나 메팔 모티 tene ngayirin zembege yul mepala ngayirin zembege yul mepala ngoti na tene ta tanda tene ta nga nyomdan zembaton ngayirin nyomdan zembati ranking ki hege yorel te chena nyemombaton ji ranking ki hege yor nyemombaton ji ranking ki chena korwa dunga ji jamsu chimpondele targe yor tarbato yorela tene junsen tela tene nga nyombaton nge nyombatin zembege yul mepato pugi chetola tene chutanji pumbo nga si pumbo zomdote zukji pumbo sorwe pumbo nduhiji pumbo si mambo ya so yabanrabo ji mato uni dodo nrabo ji yomare somne tene pumbo nga nrabo tena ore
Now, when the Dharma first spread in India, there were four different philosophical levels of philosophical schools. And when we talk about these philosophical schools, are they wrong? Do they have faults and problems? Well, actually, they really don't. When the Buddha first turned the wheel of the Dharma, he taught what is called the guiding meaning, sometimes translated as expedient meaning or the guiding meaning. It's called the guiding meaning because it guides sentient beings so that they gradually are brought into the Dharma, and then they're gradually brought to more and more profound levels of the Dharma. So it's the guiding meaning. And when he first taught the Dharma, the Buddha turned the wheel of Dharma that taught the nature of the Four Noble Truths. Now, when he taught the nature of the Four Noble Truths, did the Buddha teach that everything is emptiness? He didn't. He first taught the selflessness of the individual. He taught the egolessness or selflessness. And the reason that he taught this is that we need to eliminate our suffering. We need to get rid of our suffering. All sentient beings need to be freed from their suffering and liberated from their suffering. But if we just say to ourselves, I'm not going to suffer anymore, is that going to work? It's not going to work. But if we know what the cause of suffering is, then the cause of suffering is the truth of origin. It is the afflictions, and that is something that we need to eliminate. Well, if we just think to ourselves, okay, I'm never going to feel greed again. I'm never going to feel hatred again. Is that going to eliminate greed and hatred? It is not. We can't stop it in that way. It is not going to eliminate it. So, is there a method? There is a method, and that is that if we think about all of the afflictions, the root of all of the afflictions is self-clinging. So it's thinking me, it's thinking mine. And so this thinking me and thinking mine is something that's really strong. And because we have such strong thoughts of me and mine, then we feel thoughts of greed, we feel thoughts of hatred, we feel thoughts of pride, or thoughts of, or we feel jealousy. And so then we think to ourselves, okay, I'm never going to think me or mine again. I'm going to give it up. Is that going to work? That's not going to work either. Well, that's not going to eliminate it, but we do have an opportunity to eliminate this thinking of me and mine. Because when we think about me and mine, then, well, actually, there's nothing that we're really clinging to as me. There's nothing that we're really clinging to as mine. If we look to find what it is, we can't establish that there really is something true that we're clinging to as me. We can't establish anything true that we really cling to as mine. So there's no me, but we cling to me. There's no mine, but we cling to mine. And so when we recognize that there is no me to cling to, then we are freed from that. And when we recognize that there is no mine to cling to, no friends, no things, or whatever, cannot be really established, then we're freed from it. We're naturally freed from clinging to me and clinging to mine. And when we're freed from that, then we're naturally freed from the afflictions. And then when we are freed from the afflictions, we are liberated from the ocean of suffering in samsara. This is the liberation for all sentient beings. And so that is, for that reason, we need to realize that there is not any object that we can really cling to, that really is a me or a mine. And so in order to realize this, the Buddha taught that all phenomena are made up of the 5 aggregates, the aggregates of form, feeling, conception, formation, and consciousness. It's just a whole bunch of things that are collected and brought together, or conglomerated together. But there's no real solid thing there at all. He just taught that everything is all these aggregates or conglomerations.
Tene tate yung pumbo si ta gupi junsen te da tanzen begi yul te ta rang lu la rang lu te la ta lu dan sem ni la da tanzen ge yor la lu ji on de sen lu te tene pumbo se du durchin toma du ba durchin samji me ja ba mambo je ya pong yo pe pumbo je ma to tene nguni ge dodo ta je do toma la ye ji me pe dodo je yo re be sen za ni yo ma re tene tenso kanga susu durchin mambo du be gombo ji re la tene ti zu ji pumbo se ta pa re tene nansam ji pumbo go on de sena chorwa duji number hi patenzo tene namhi ge rek mambo je yandu ni chu pumbo je re ma to tene ti dodo je la trupa nga nyam den be dodo je zawa ni yo mare la de da bu pumbo nga yi rang yin de ten ni tene ta ti ten la pap ni dami je tan ti tena papa in becherna teni shirot na wa tom do de pani ge teni ngupo tamji dultrin le tupare se dultrin le tupalan zingi yore toni imbal ngun zain tugi yomare teni rib senji nelu imbal ngun zain tugi yomare sendo nomri ton uma palji sa ta shirot na wa do de pa nomri pa de senzon pa uma pa palji 다티게 ngotachi sesa te kandere sena rikom trimi je norbuzo la tandang rikom dewarhi be nimbo sena yandra rikwa tma me pa sena yandra senji nelu sena yandra tma me pa te norbu do do raboche norbu che yorela tati norbu te la serot nawa don dode bani ge tachi sepe kapsala serot nawa don dode bani la ta tanda stena de ni ta dotrin kelen kerela 추통지 도트린을 투바레 스켈렌드텔 치는 덴룹지 사이 공부 되는 난그 릭바티 무 마진 바제 무 보통지 치는 치단데 되는 도트린을 투 덴룹지 사이 공부인다 보지라 사이 공부 도도인다 보지라 문진기 요레 디게 되는 리컴 투마메 바티 노블라 노비임발라 하고요 마레스 디테이티 다이니바데 칸드레스는 nomrik바레라 nomrik바스는 센sam바레 센sam바게 다티 돌틴데 엔두 야포 타치시 베카솔 돌틴데 토요 마레 돌틴데 토 메바테 다 돌틴테 기테 라 솔라 타드텔라 카신 히바레 다 탄다 physics tini doctrine ranking ke madu pati higi yore sigi yore la pete yendo doctrine de ranking ki madu pati sensong pa ge chengi yore sensong pa ge chengi yore de tangpo doctrine me yendo la nang ludong chi ngubo chi yulla so pa hargendo la de harwe ge zawa de yore zawa de kandere sena nang sem nzanba tini number hi ba chu chu di non ne kin hi number hiba de je yore ta de la tene rimbe no anda tangji truban no anda tangji harge yore so somto nzaine nzamba dendu ji zungi yore la de tene nobu dodu de ha mago waji cha dodu la ngun zamba da boji re di chen nan zamba den zum ki chogong ngarma.
So when we say aggregate, then the reason is that so that we realize what the nature of what it is that we cling to as a self is. We generally, when we cling to something as a self, what we generally cling to are our bodies or our minds. And so when we cling to the bodies, then that's the aggregate of form. The aggregate of form, we think that when we look at it, actually the body is just a whole bunch of atoms and fine particles that are all, an incountable number of particles that are all just heaped together and aggregated together. Actually, there is no single solid, indivisible thing that we cannot divide in any way. There's no solid thing. It's just a whole bunch of atoms, a mass of atoms put together, and that is the aggregate of form. And we also cling to the mind as being me. And the mind is the four aggregates of the aggregate of form, the aggregate of conception, the aggregate of formation, and the aggregate of consciousness. And so these are all just the different aspects of the awareness and consciousness. And they're all just heaped together. All different aspects of awareness and consciousness is heaped together. There's no solid one thing that we can say is me. There's nothing like that at all. And so, by teaching that everything is by nature the five aggregates, they really come to understand and establish and fully internalize this. This is the meaning of selflessness, or the lack of a self. And so, this is what the Great Exposition and the Sutra schools, that is the Vaibhashika and the Sautrantika in Sanskrit, the Great Exposition and Sutra schools talk about. And so they teach that all external objects are made up of truly existent atoms and particles. And so by teaching this, they do not really establish things as emptiness. They do not realize the nature of the mind. So as it says here, the exposition, sutra, mind only, and commonplace middle way schools see the form of the stainless jewel that is our Buddha nature. And so here we've got the stainless jewel that is our Buddha nature. You can talk about it as the stainless Buddha nature, the stainless potential within all ourselves, all of us. You can talk about it as the stainless awareness. You can talk about it as the nature of the mind, whatever you want to call it. It's like a jewel. It's like this jewel. And when they see it, when the great exposition and sutra schools, that is when the Vaibhashika and the Sautrantikas, when the great exposition and the sutra schools analyze and examine this, because they assert that external things are made up of atoms that truly exist, then it's like they see the stainless jewel as a clod of dirt of truly existent external things. So the truly existent external things are the atoms that they say really are there. And so they don't really see the external, the nature of the internal mind. They say that all things are made up of atoms that are truly existence. And so this is like seeing seeing the jewel as this clod of dirt, but they do not really see the stainless jewel that is our Buddha nature as it is. Then the next school is the mind only. Here in the Sanskrit, it's the Vigyaptavadins. So the Vigyaptavadins, or the Chittamatra, or mind only school. So the mind only school, when they look at it, they say, okay, you look at atoms, atoms don't work. You can't really establish atoms as anything. And so you look at atoms, you see that they all have different directions and parts. And so as we were talking about yesterday, this is what modern physics talks about when they say that atoms can't really be established as being single whole things. They cannot be established. And so in the same way, the mind-only school also knew that atoms could not be established as anything. But then they thought to themselves, well, wait a minute, there are still all these appearances. There's the appearances of our inner body. There's the appearances of all the mind, of all the external things. So there has to be some sort of a basis for those appearances to happen. And so the basis of that is the perceiver. And so they have the fixation on the perceiver as being true. They say the perceiver is really there. And then the perceiver, they talk about the six consciousnesses, and in particular they talk about the eighth, the alaya, ground consciousness. And then they say that because within all of these there are all the confused appearances can happen. So it's because there's the perceiver, all the confused appearances can happen. And so in this way, when they look at the stainless jewel of the Buddha nature, they're not really seeing the stainless jewel, but they don't see it as a clod of dirt. They see this as an iron lump.
단다 싫어도 나와 동도 대파 드니 센성바니금 다티게 내루데 제타와 힌도 또 요아르베시나 또 요마레 다티긴도 우마파레 우마팔라야 우마 런지 파싱키지 우마 탄주르 파싱키지 우마 론 탄주르 발라야 우마 론동도 나와도 우마 옌동도 나와 니데 다지당게 우마파 넘바 좀다보지 ndana yacht na wa de la yacht na du de la uma ronji pe kande se ge yo re se na tine ta chiren te tanda tani cheme to ba tine kunzu gun no anda tan tam ba la ta tong ba ni re te yin na yo tani kunzu gun de se na cha sa koran yo re se ne ta legend de la korwa mata pe se la sung ge yo re la tini tige seni tsutop jeta senji nelu trama me patela ripa trama me patela che zei undu tela tini seni tsutop je tani semi trupa che ge he zambo ye manme yapo che ndo gongwanda bo che chong yo re ta te yendo tanda uma tanjuru wa ta bo che ge kande jin nang ge yo re sena uma tanjuru wi tini tanda 동이 댕긴지 넘그 wen동 세 메가 동종 근자이 돈부 세도 드네 오마 탄주 위치 동지 동이리 송한테 동바니 또 버게 쳐들라 리비 짤도 때네 드네 동이리 송네 드바마도 teni yepi chata nika mayin be tadong talwe ke tsorte hira ten yo mare la teacher na mego tong chung ge njai tombu je ta ripi nelu te la kantin do taung njai tombu ndabo je re mego tong chung re gwa ji ma to nguni cha sang ji zai to yo mare te yendo uma yendong pa ge na uma yendong pa la Kitang chu tang chi ge ne lu chu ji yen de rang yin ki tong ba ma yin ba chu tang chi je tong ni de tong ni ge ngo yin ba la ye ba nda bo je la ngun zai nang ba je da chu ji yen tong de ya ji ji ba je da yen je ngo de yi hi sal we gi cha de yen tong yin ba la ya ji ji ba ni yo re la di na ne tang bo chu ji yen de la den yin dong zhen ba de la Tony Denkin je nanke wendong sunde de la tati tomba ni de nguni dembar hinda denkin je namba la zaini tene perna tanda njai tombo yung mare de ina yung nanka ge wenda bo je ta nanke wendong da bo je la kogi wanda tanda kare sekre Northern Light Northern Light da bo je la ngusam Deni ngin ji khirgon trimi sitini tati ge yihi yentong de hyalji gi patsu kandi sung yo are sena demba ni la ngin de ta yihi de ngo tomba main ba yihi de dembar trba la khirgon khir do do trma me ba je ta kristal da bo je la ngun zeng ge yo are teacher na tati tunta tenzu ke tani natsu hin bobar se jong rikam norbo te tornin do go tini nguni senje nelu tma me pati zaito yo mare so
So in this way, do the great exposition and the sutra schools and then the mind-only schools, do they really realize the nature of this jewel, the stainless awareness as it is? They do not really realize it as it is. Then following this, there comes the middle ways. And following this, there comes a question. Rinpoche la, chi de kazo ani umala sumdu che la kazo ani shida ora
tombo uma ranju ba Nipa oma tanju rondong
So when we talk about the middle way schools, there are sort of 4 different middle way schools. There is the autonomist, or in Sanskrit it's called the Svatantrika. There is the consequentialist, or the prasangika school. Then there is the rangtong, or self-empty, and the shentong. And then there is... Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. When we talk about this, there are 4 different... let me start that one again. There are 4 different middle way schools here that are talked about here. There is the autonomist school, which is the Svatantrika, and then there is the consequentialist or prasangika school, and then there are the 2 types of the Shentong schools. There is the expanse Shentong school and the wisdom Shentong school. And so of these 4 different schools, first there are the autonomists. And the autonomists say that all external appearances do not ultimately exist, but in conventional terms they can be established, relatively established in conventional terms. So ultimately they do not exist, but relatively they can exist in conventional relative terms only. And they say this so that people do not deny karma, cause and effect. But when they have this view, and then when they look at the stainless jewel of the Buddha nature, they see it as a lamp whose fine light can establish characteristics. So these characteristics are established conventionally on a relative level, but they don't really see the jewel as it is. They see it as this lamp. Then the next school is the consequentialist, or the prasangika school. And the consequentialist school teaches that everything is emptiness. They really focus on the emptiness of all phenomena. And in focusing on this, they use a lot of logic to prove everything is, in order to realize this, they use a lot of logic to prove that everything is emptiness. They use they negate everything to say it's all emptiness, and they say it's not, does not exist. But by focusing so much on things not being there, on the no negation or non-implicative negation of things not existing, then they do not really come to the point where we're saying that they don't exist, they don't not exist, they're not something, they're not nothing. They never really get to that point. And so for that reason, they do not really see the nature of the mind as it is, but rather they see it as like the fragments of a rainbow in the sky. And then we come to the two Shentong, the two other empty schools. And the Shentong schools, when they look at the nature of all phenomena, the first of these is the expanse Shentong school. So they look at the nature of all phenomena, and they see that there is the emptiness that is the nature of all phenomena. This is the nature of the Dharma expanse. But they see that it is not empty in and of itself. It is empty of other things. And so they say that the expanse of the Dharma Dhatu, the expanse, actually truly exists, and it is empty of everything else. And so that is the expanse Shentong school. And then there is also the wisdom Shentong school. They say that the wisdom, the clear wisdom aspect, they say that truly exists, that it is empty of other things. So it is the other empty, the wisdom other empty school. So of these two, the first is the expanse other empty school. And so they grasp onto the basis, the Dharma expanse, as being truly existence. And so when they look at the sky, at this jewel, they don't see it like the merely empty the negation of the prasangika, the consequentialist school. Rather, they see it more like the hue of the sky, the lights and images you see in the sky. They see it like the northern lights. And so that's how the expanse other empty school sees it. Then there is the wisdom school, and they cling to the two truths, to the ultimate nature of the wisdom, essence of the wisdom as being true. And because they do not accept that wisdom as being empty, they see it as being like a stainless crystal ball of attachment to the two truths. So it's a slight attachment to the two truths there, and so they do not see the jewel as it is, but see it as like this crystal. And so in this way, none of these schools are able to really recognize this nature as it is. And so they may designate it with many different appellations, but they sit there having lost the jewel of their Buddha nature. So they've lost it. They have not been able to really see the nature of their mind as it is.